Have you ever felt that, that kind of lingering sense that something or maybe someone is just draining your energy? Not just making you tired, but somehow making you feel smaller, less you. It's a feeling we usually just brush off, right? But it's a pattern people have been talking about forever. And today, we're going to decode it. Wow. This quote just hits so hard, doesn't it? It perfectly describes that slow creep where you kind of become the easy target, the butt of the joke. You spend all your energy just trying to manage how people see you, and you end up playing along while they chip away at you, all just to keep things from getting awkward.
So that brings up a really important question. What if this isn't just a feeling? What if it's not just in your head? What if there's a real, almost physical process going on? A process where your life force is literally being siphoned off. This is what happens when you get stuck in that loop of feeding an empty bucket. It's this feeling of being trapped, You're constantly pouring your energy out to other people, to stressful situations, to your own negative thoughts, and you never, ever feel full. And let's be real, it's a completely miserable way to live. So how in the world do we break out of this cycle? Well, to get started, we've got to understand the physics of it. Your internal state, your mood, it's not just a feeling. It's actually an electromagnetic broadcast. And that signal you're sending out has a very real, measurable frequency. And this brings us to this key idea of coherence. Okay, think of it like this. Picture 100 people in a room all talking at once. That's total chaos, right? That's an incoherent field. Now, imagine choir of 100 voices all singing the exact same note in perfect harmony. That is coherence. It's organized, it's focused, and it's incredibly powerful. And this slide just lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you've got the incoherent field. This is where fear, anxiety, and shame live. It's chaotic, it's stagnant, and honestly, it's the perfect feeding ground for that energy drain we were talking about. But on the other side, you have the coherent field. This is grounded, it's powerful, it's sovereign. It creates a whole different reality of flow and clarity. Now, this isn't just some positive thinking mantra. This is actually rooted in physics, at a really fundamental quantum level. Wherever we put our focused, emotional attention, that's what influences the reality that shows up for us. You are, in a very real sense, programming your world with your frequency.
So you have to ask, where does this programming even come from? Well, it's the software that's running in our own minds. It's our language, where we put our focus, our core beliefs. And this is where something called neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, gets super interesting. It's like it lets us look at the source code.
The guys who founded NLP, Bandler and Grinder, they actually figured out these patterns. You've got things like simple deletions, which make your brain automatically search for an answer, or nominalizations, which take a fleeting feeling and turn it into a solid thing. These are the building blocks that create our limiting beliefs. But here's the cool part. They can also be used to build new, empowering ones. Okay, so we've kind of laid out the problem, a low-frequency, incoherent broadcast that leaves us wide open and vulnerable. But what's the solution? Well, for that, we're going to turn to a truly ancient intelligence that's been managing energy on this planet for literally billions of years, fungi. And just to give you a sense of the sheer scale of what we're dealing with here, get this. A single cubic inch of healthy soil can have over 8 miles of these tiny fungal cells called mycelium. 8 miles. It's a biological network that's it's staggering. People call it Earth's natural internet. And that's exactly what it is. This huge sentient network is moving nutrients around, sending information, and basically acting as the brain and the immune system for entire ecosystems. It's nature's great recycler. It is the architect of the world as we know it. And here's the wild part. Our connection to this kingdom isn't just poetic. It is written in our DNA. We are literally descendants of fungi. We split off from a common ancestor hundreds of millions of years ago. We share a ton of our DNA. We breathe the same way. They take in oxygen, they breathe out CO2. We even get sick from a lot of the same germs. We are deeply, deeply related. So all of this leads to a really powerful hypothesis. We know for a fact that fungi are masters at breaking down and metabolizing physical death, toxins, decay, all that stuff. So what if they operate on the exact same principle, but on an energetic level? What if they can literally digest the chaotic, stagnant, low-frequency energy that these parasitic forces seem to thrive on? This brings us to the tool that lets our own consciousness plug directly into this fungal intelligence, psilocybin. You know, the active compound in so-called magic mushrooms. It's what kicks off this profound neurological reset. The famous mycologist Paul Stamets tells this incredible story about being caught in a huge thunderstorm right after taking a large dose of psilocybin. He was terrified, clinging to a tree for dear life, and he decided to use that intense moment to face his severe stutter. He just kept repeating to himself, "Stop stuttering now," hundreds of times. The very next day, his lifelong, debilitating stutter was just gone.
Now, what happened to Paul Stamets wasn't magic. It was neurogenesis. It's been medically proven that psilocybin actually stimulates the growth of new brain cells and new connections in the brain. It physically gives the brain a way to break free from those rigid, stuck feedback loops of trauma, depression, and all our limiting beliefs.
And look, this isn't just speculation anymore. We're talking about major clinical studies at world-class institutions like Johns Hopkins and UCLA that are showing how incredibly effective this can be for some of our toughest mental health challenges. We are seriously on the edge of a quantum leap in how we understand consciousness.
And this all comes back to the core strategy here. You're not supposed to fight the parasites. You don't engage them. What you do is you change the fundamental environment where they live. By creating neurological coherence, by creating energetic coherence, you raise your frequency to a level where those low vibration patterns simply can't survive. You literally starve them out.
So, understanding all this, it's not just about collecting interesting facts. It's about actually doing something with it. It's about an awakening to the power you've actually had all along, but were probably taught to forget. First things first, stop feeding the loop. This all starts with being radically honest with yourself. You have to see your own role in the patterns, the self-sabotage, the low-frequency thoughts. You have to acknowledge the invisible chains you've been living with. Second, change your frequency, and you do it on purpose, deliberately. You can do it with your breath, with your focus, or even with a neurological reset if that's what's called for. You have to remember, you are the broadcaster. You are in control of the signal. And finally, reclaim your sovereignty. This isn't about asking anyone for permission. It's about remembering and then embodying your undeniable, unapologetic, absolute right to exist at your full power. This power, it's been inside you this whole time, just waiting for you to claim it. And it all starts the moment you recognize that you are the true creator of your own experience. So, I'll just leave you with this one question. Knowing what you know now, what reality are you going to broadcast?